Welcome to Treadmill Talks with Shannon Maves, a podcast for athletes and fitness enthusiasts to pass the time during mind-numbing cardio while I use my no-bullshit coaching style to educate, inspire, and entertain. I'm your host, Shannon Maves. Now let's walk and talk. Hello, and welcome to episode 64 of Treadmill Talks, the one about plant-based diets. Now, before I begin, I want to be clear that this discussion is only going to cover plant-based diets as they apply to physique development, building muscle, losing body fat, mainly anything having to do with bodybuilding, but not necessarily just the sport, like anybody who is looking to improve their body composition. I'm not going to be going into any type of ethical or religious conversation, and I'm not trying to convince anybody whether they should or should not eat a plant-based diet. If you choose to consume meat or you choose to consume a plant-based diet, I support your decision no matter what your reasoning is. But if you have a physique goal and you want to improve your body composition, build muscle, lose body fat, etc., then I want you to understand why being a vegetarian or a vegan can make this process even more challenging than it already is. A lot of times people will try to fight me on this and come at me with the argument about how so-and-so is a professional bodybuilder and they're vegan, so obviously it's possible. Of course, it's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a lot fucking harder. And real talk, a good majority of professional bodybuilders are taking performance enhancing drugs, even the ones who eat meat. So if you want to consume a plant-based diet and remain a natural athlete, then be prepared for a difficult journey. I didn't say an impossible journey, but a difficult one, because you are going to have to be even more on top of your shit in order to make noticeable changes to your body composition. Oh, and let me backtrack real quickly, because I also want to point out that if you actually talk to a lot of the pro bodybuilders who are plant-based, a good majority of them did not start out plant-based, which makes a huge difference, because building muscle is a hell of a lot harder than maintaining muscle. I also know some plant-based professionals who have made the decision to start eating fish or even chicken as they got more competitive into their career. And that's not because they weren't on top of their shit. I'm sure they have their own reasons. But like I said, in order to make any noticeable changes to your body composition while consuming a plant-based diet, you have to be on top of your shit. Getting sufficient protein as a vegetarian or a vegan is challenging enough for most people already who aren't trying to improve their body composition. But if you are trying to improve your body composition, you need to consume even more protein than the average Joe. Now, everyone's protein needs are different, even bodybuilders. I hate when people are so firm on the notion that you have to eat X amount of protein in order to make progress, because there are no absolutes when it comes to fitness or nutrition. I've been coaching long enough now to tell you for certain that some people do just fine with 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, whereas other people need a lot more than that. And sometimes you get the person who doesn't need that much protein. They're typically very new to lifting weights, but it does happen. However, the RDA's recommendation for protein is not enough to build muscle. It's a recommended amount for like basically just survival. It's a fucking minimum. They suggest getting a minimum of 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. That is less than half of 1 gram per pound of body weight, which is what most people will argue is needed in order to build muscle and improve body composition. And no, a high protein diet is not harmful for your liver. Okay, anyways, I'm about to go off on a tangent. I can feel it coming. So if you want to hear more about protein dosages and whatnot, go back and listen to some of my previous episodes about macros and protein. But my point is the RDA's recommendation for protein is low. And a lot of people don't even hit that, even people who eat meat. So vegetarians and vegans really need to step up their protein game in general, but especially if they want to build muscle and improve body composition. Because generally speaking, that requires at least double the amount of protein than the RDA recommends. So, for this episode, I'm going to use the example of someone who needs to consume 150 grams of protein per day in order to improve their body composition. I'm not going to get into how much they weigh or any of that shit. I'm just going to say that this person has a goal of 150 grams of protein per day, which is not unreasonable for someone looking to increase lean mass. Now, why is this intake so much harder for someone who doesn't consume meat? Well, I'm going to give an extremely unrealistic example, but hopefully it's going to at least make it easy to understand what I'm saying. In order to get 150 grams of protein from chicken breast alone, you would be consuming a little over 700 calories. In order to get 150 grams of protein from tofu alone, you would be consuming a little over 1,400 calories. That's double the calories for the same amount of protein. So when you're eating something like chicken, you have a lot of extra calories to get from other food sources. Now, here's my favorite example: peanut butter. Because in case you haven't heard yet, peanut butter is not a protein source. It is a fat source. The vast majority of calories from peanut butter come from fat, and the calories from carbohydrates are about equal to the calories from protein. Just because a food contains protein does not make it a protein source. So, you guys want to know how many calories of peanut butter you would have to eat in order to get 150 grams of protein? 4,000 calories. 4,000. That is more than 5 times the amount of calories than chicken breast, and almost 3 times the amount of calories than tofu. Dude, even if you don't have a physique goal and maybe you just want to consume a single meal that has 20 grams of protein, 20 grams of protein from chicken breast alone is about 100 calories. 20 grams of protein from tofu is about 200 calories. 20 grams of protein from peanut butter is about 500 calories. Okay, I'm going to let this one rest now so that I can move on with our actual topic. Just please understand that peanut butter is not a protein source, okay? The point I'm making is that it is much harder to consume a high protein diet when you're a vegetarian or a vegan, because in order to do so, your calories need to be much more well managed. If you eat nothing but tofu and peanut butter, you might be able to hit your protein goal, but you're not going to have much room to eat anything else. So the rest of your calories need to come from very low calorie, nutrient dense foods. You can't expect to hit your protein goal and stay within your calorie goal if you're eating nothing but cheese, pizza, and fucking Oreos. Vegans love to use Oreos as an argument to try to convince others that they can go vegan too. But someone who does eat meat can enjoy something like a couple of Oreos and still hit their protein and calorie goal pretty easily because they aren't having to use as many calories to hit their protein goal. And we're just talking about protein right now. We still need to consider carbs, fats, and micronutrients. Getting the ratio of protein, carbs, and fats down without consuming meat is more of a challenge as well. And if you want to be able to enjoy some treats like Oreos while eating a plant based diet, the rest of your diet is going to need to consist primarily of very low calorie, nutrient dense foods in order to not eat a crazy amount of calories and to get enough essential micronutrients. Now, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan and you have a crazy fast metabolism and you need to consume very high calories just to maintain your weight or something, then you are an outlier. Maybe you are the IFBB pro that all the other vegans look up to, but you are an exception. Most people who consume a plant based diet and have a physique goal are going to have to be very diligent about keeping their calories within range while also hitting their protein goal. And it can be done. You just have to limit your treats a bit more and really make sure that you're getting enough micronutrients. Because while you are using more calories to consume your protein, you are leaving less calories to consume vitamins and minerals. And you are also drastically reducing, if not completely eliminating, certain vitamins and minerals by eliminating animal products. So you need to be even more attentive to getting things like iron and B vitamins, which might mean supplementing with more things. And anyone who knows me even a little bit knows my belief that supplements should be supplemental. And I always recommend getting as many nutrients as possible from real food for the sake of digestion, hormones, and more. My belief is that supplements should be viewed kind of along the same line as treats, just in that they should be kept in moderation and not something you consume on a regular basis. But if a little bit here and there helps you to stay on track with your nutrition, then right on. Anyway, I want to kind of wrap this up a bit and say that yes, you can absolutely improve your physique while eating an entirely plant based diet, but it is more challenging and it requires more commitment. And I am 1000% willing to work with you and teach you how to do it if you're interested. So if you're ready to buckle down and fucking do this already, click the link in the show notes to apply to work with me. And if you haven't already, please, please, please subscribe to Treadmill Talks or follow or whatever term they're using nowadays. But it really helps to get the podcast bumped up higher on the podcast platforms. And you can get notifications when I release new episodes. If you could also take a second to leave a rating or review, that is super helpful as well. Or share this episode to your social media or send it to a friend or something. I swear, you guys, those little tiny acts of support that only take you a second or two go so freaking far in my little corner of the internet over here. But even if you don't want to do any of that stuff, just know how much I appreciate you listening and taking the time to hang out with me today. Thank you for listening to Treadmill Talks. If this episode taught you something, lit a fire under your ass, or at least helped you forget how long you've been walking in place, please leave a review or take a screenshot to share on your social media. Don't forget to tag me at Shannon Maves so I can give you some love right back. And thanks again for listening to my Treadmill Talk.